Yeah,
I didn't know. I can't even find these places.
Neil, did they reschedule it or they just canceled it?
They just they canceled it. We went there anyway.
Oh.
Just to see, and they said they're not issuing any more, they're only appointments. They're only going to issue appointments for the second shot.
Yeah, I was up last night until 2 a.m. Because I was told to do that. And so I went on all the sites in New York, and it seems that New York State right now, except for Plattsburgh, has dried up.
Well, it's only 450 miles to Plattsburgh.
That's right. There are no.
It's a little colder there.
Right. There are no more appointments available anywhere else right now.
You know why all of the vaccines are in Florida?
Sure.
Everybody's going.
But that's where Trump lives.
Right.
No.
All right. Well,
Because DeSantis is a friend of Trump.
on that note, I think what we need really is the Temple Adas Israel private jet that will take us all to Plattsburgh, and we'll take care of business. Very reasonable, you know. Very reasonable.
No,
hour away.
You know, or I was going to say Julie, or we go visit Julie and Barbara. That also is a very good alternative. I like that too.
It's plenty big. Plattsburgh's not far.
But Plattsburgh is no longer available. I would have done it. I clicked on Plattsburgh when it's SUNY Plattsburgh and SUNY, but it's no longer available.
Also, this is a good place to begin our praying tonight. We will pray for an increased number of possibilities.
Right.
But it's wonderful to see all you. Forgive me for muting you all mercilessly, as I always do. Okay, everybody's all set here. So we're going to switch over now. Let's just spotlight me and spotlight the cantor. And we're going to spotlight our wonderful guest lighters for this Shabbat. We are very excited to have Steve and Celia with us, who are going to help us to light and bless the Shabbat candles. That blessing is found on page 120 in the prayer books if you would like. Okay, and Steve and Celia will say the blessing at home. Cantor Lauren will sing it on this end of things, and we'll ask you all to join again, page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And we'll ask Steve and Celia just to unmute for a second so you can say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. I don't want to take the...
Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
All right, that's great. Okay, we'll let you guys go back to your seats, so to speak. It's not quite the same thing as in the sanctuary, but it feels sort of similar. Thank you, Steve and Celia, for doing that. That was really lovely. And thank you, Shelley, also for helping to arrange this from week to week. And just a reminder to everyone, we've started this out as a sort of pilot idea, but we're going to keep it going. So please, if you're interested in it, please let Shelley know. And if you are a little unsure about things, please let us know. We will help. We will figure it out. But it's wonderful to see all of you. It's wonderful to be back for Shabbat. And to Lauren, it's great to be in the box next to you. And I think we're going to start our service again with you, and take us away. And we'll turn now together to page 130 as we begin Kabbalat Shabbat together with Lechu Neranana at the very top of the page.
Lechu קדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריע לו יי ני ני יי ני יי ני ני
We're on page 131, Shiru Ladonai. Turn now to page 132, or Zaru at the very bottom of the page. Turn now to page 134, Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai bechino
Turn now to page 135, Romamu, the last paragraph in Hebrew in the middle of the page. turn now to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, and a reminder, we're going to do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat kabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, איש בידו אל המלוכה, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת בתפילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונאכל, כי מקור הברכה, וראש תקדם לסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. התעוררי, כי בעורף אורי שיר דמרי, כבור עיני נפילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. אומרי ושלום הטרף עלה, גם בשמחה וצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה.
We'll turn now to page 140 to conclude Kabbalat Shabbat with Psalm 92.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. נזמר לשמך עליון, נזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. נזמר לשמך עליון, נזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסך, באמונתך בעלילות. עלה הסור ועלה ידבר, עלה היגיון לכימון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. נזמר לשמך עליון, נזמר לשמך עליון.
And we will turn now to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Kadash Meraba, Belmad Ivrachute, Vemlich Malchute, Vechayechon Uvyomechon, Uchayetechol Bet Israel, Bagala, Bagala, Ubizman Kari Veimeru, Amen. Yehesh Meraba Mevarach, Leholam al Me'amaya, Itmarach, Itmarach ve'yishabach, midba'ar v'roman ve'inasei, ve'yitadar, ve'yitale, ve'yitalal, shemeru shaberichu, leila min kol birchata ve'shirata, tushbechata ve'nechemata, tamara me'alma, ve'imeru, amen.
We turn now to page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Uret Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Va'ed. Yai, 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 yai,
We'll turn now to page 148. We'll read together in English at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umabdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam, Tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv haravim. Ahavat olam bet Israel, Amchavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shocheinu u'bekumeinu, nasiach bekukecha. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו מאורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם בלילה. מאהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
We're now on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'll turn now to page 157 and read together in English at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to page 158, Mi Chamocha.
We're going to do a little bit of a different tune this evening. I'm sure you'll recognize it. It's an American classic, so I invite you to sing along. Mi chamocha adilim Adonai, mi kamocha nezor v'kodesh, nor tehilot osefet, nor tehilot osefet, ma'lechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeili anu ve'ameru, Adonai imo le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar Adonai el Yaakov, u'alo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai
I'm truly amazed at how well that works. I really am. Thanks for doing that, Cantor. That was great. And we'll turn now to page 161, Hashkivenu, very top of the page.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, Hashkileinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkileinu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and kinship be our shelter from life's storm.
Turn now to page 162, Vishamru, beginning at the very top of the page.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. B'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam.
We'll turn now to page 164 as the cantor will help us to begin the Amidah together, and then we'll continue silently, giving us all a chance to pray at our own pace and in our own words. And again, we'll begin together on page 164 and then continue silently, and the choice of standing or sitting is entirely up to you. So cantor, if you wouldn't mind.
Adonai sefatay tzivta, ufi agi tfilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
thoughts and our hearts will turn now to those in our lives, those that are connected to our community, those around the world who are in need of healing. And we'll turn to page 371. In a moment, I'll read a list of those that were on our Mishaberach list, but I invite anyone who would like to share additional names in the chat. You are more than welcome to do so, or for those watching at home, simply to hold your loved ones in your heart. And as I said, we'll first begin by thinking of those on our Mishaberach list. And tonight we're thinking of Chaim Leib, Alyssa Peak, Andrew Edelman, Robert Posner, Joyce Weinberg, Rick Gold, Stu Pollack, Jane London, Phyllis Silver, Catherine Guarino, Emunah Chava, Sandra Furman, Raina Walsh, Deirdre Klein, Stephanie Skitt, Judy Stern, Miriam Cornfield, Roz Brody, Chana Ruth Batsara, Marlise Silverberg, Susan Spruce, Fagel Tzipora Bat Elisheva Bat Sarah, Richard Gambino, Michelle Sawicki, Idol Basha Bat Yitzchak, Tzvi Menachem Ben Chaim, Rivka Bat Devora, Amy and Gavin Tucker, Janice Kurz, David Dowling, Neil Elliott and Eileen Rosen, Israel Ben Yitzchak, Ben Sion Ben Moshe, Lorraine Danis, Buddy Kossoff, Shelley Newmark, David Kyle Klopman, Rivka Bat Rachel, Sarah Bat Chana, Moshe Eliezer Ben Sivia, Peretz Ben Yehuda, and Leah Bat Naomi. And as we think of those also that were added to the chat, Cantor Lauren will lead us into Mishaberach again on page 371.
To make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Cantor. We'll give you a little bit of a break for now. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I suddenly got bigger. It's the way these things work. It's wonderful to see all of you, and quite a remarkable week. And I imagine, I certainly hope that all of you watched on Wednesday as we took in the inauguration and all the things around it. And I think, I thought about this kind of going back and forth, that really I thought for tonight's sermon, we really ought to rewatch the Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman's presentation, because quite frankly, whatever I will attempt to say tonight will pale in comparison. And just as a quick aside before I get to what I'm actually planning to teach tonight, I had a Zoom meeting with the teen group from our temple this week, and one of the things I pointed out to them, and the purpose of it was to talk about what happened January 6th, to focus on the inauguration as well, but I pointed out to them the fact that, here is an inauguration. Here on the dais are, statesmen and women, many of them who have served in various capacities for decades, most significant people that exist in our society in so many ways, dignitaries from other countries, people who spoke from both sides of the aisle, many of whom, if not all of whom, were extremely eloquent, really powerful speeches. And yet at the end of the day, I don't think there is any question that the most impressive person on the Capitol steps on Wednesday was this young woman, right? 21, 22 years old, who held the entire world in the palm of her hand, in essence, which was remarkable. And a reminder to them, as it is to all of us, that age is not really the determining factor in most things. There is certainly much to be gained from wisdom, from time. There is certainly something to be said for the youthfulness that we see on it's not a question of are good or bad or right or wrong. It's simply to say that we have to be very cautious about deciding, who can speak and who speaks for us and who has perspective. I think it was very clear that her poem really got to the heart of basically everything. So it's really quite powerful. And again, if you haven't seen it for some reason, please, I implore you, go and watch it as soon as we're done with services. But if you have, go watch it again. Certainly something I think that we will return to probably throughout history. I mean, a remarkable poem, remarkable speech, every aspect of it remarkable. But that aside, I spent a lot of time thinking about Wednesday, and in particular, what the sort of overarching message of the inauguration day, of the president's remarks, of those that spoke again from both sides of the aisle. And there was one word that I think every pundit, everybody that's written about it has really come back to, which is the focus was on a word, unity. Okay, this idea of unity. So I've been thinking a lot about that word and realizing that it's actually a very challenging word. It's a word that has many different kinds of definitions and can very easily be sort of pushed to the side as a figment of the imagination or something that is simply impossible to actually achieve, right? So I'm looking up at Steve, right, thinking about theoretical physics, something that's just simply beyond the capacity to prove empirically as true, right? How do we actually achieve this thing called unity? So as I tend to, right, I go into Judaism to try to find answers to these kinds of questions. And the truth is that it's actually very hard in that regard as well, because within Judaism, the concept of unity is really almost exclusively understood within the concept of God. That God is a source of, the ultimate unity, right? There is no division of God. There's no happy God, sad God, right? Monotheism is based on the idea of a unified concept of theology and of the divine. But it doesn't really help us here on earth, right? How are we supposed to translate the unity of God to figuring out how to create unity amongst people who are as divided as we ultimately are and have been, quite frankly, throughout history? So I was listening to a wonderful podcast that I listen to regularly that is based off the 538 website, which, if you don't know what it is, it's a politics polling particular, but they have a really very thoughtful, kind of podcast. And they had a political scientist on the call the other day. Her name is Julia Izzari, who is a political scientist at Marquette University. And she had an interesting sort of definition of the word unity. And she said that really in this case, what it's referring to is sort of a coming together under the idea of a broader purpose, right? The coming together under the idea of a broader purpose. That even when we are a divided people amongst all of the policy positions or, politics or, parties that we belong to, et cetera, that really what the message of Wednesday and the message that all of us need to carry is this idea of getting to a place in which we can conceive of a shared purpose in this country, right? Something to which we can all unify around. And again, this is a challenging concept itself, because how do we even begin to do that? How do we even do that, for example, within Judaism? Okay, there are many different ways to understand the quote unquote purpose of our religious existence. If you were to talk to, for example, a colleague from a different stream of Judaism, or to talk to an Israeli versus an American, right? We may not define Judaism, Jewish practice, any of these things with the idea of there being some broader purpose that we can all understand or agree with. So therefore, how can we have any sense of unity? So I want to just read you as a really great piece of our prayer book that we only use during festivals, and I only remember to use it sometimes. But it does a really wonderful job of combining into a very easy to understand fashion something that actually takes place that's along these lines, right? Of trying to say, well, if we can't all agree on everything, how do we get down to some core idea? And so this reading, in a second you'll understand, is basically a process by which many of our greatest people, teachers, thinkers over time have taken the sort of complexity of the 613 mitzvot, right, the totality of Jewish obligation as we understand them, and slowly but surely condensing these ideas into the core ethics, ethos of what it is that we're about. In other words, the unifying principles of Judaism. So I want to just read this to you, and then I will bring it all home, I hope, in some fashion or another. So if you want to find this in the prayer book, it's on page 457. It says, our rabbis taught 613 mitzvot were given to Moses. Micah, the prophet Micah, then reduced them to 3. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, based all the mitzvot actually on 2 of them. Keep justice and righteousness. The prophet Amos saw only one guiding principle upon which all 613 are founded: seek me and live. me being God in this case. The prophet Habakkuk expounded upon the Torah on the basis of a single thought: the righteous shall live by their faith. The Rabbi Akiva taught the great principle of the Torah is expressed in the mitzvah Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But Ben Azai found a principle even more fundamental. This is the story of humanity. When God created us, God made us in the divine image. And Hillel ultimately summed the Torah in this maxim: what is hateful to you, do not do to others. The rest is commentary. You must go and study it. So while this concept of unity may be amorphous, it may seem distant, it may seem even remotely impossible, if we think of unity as having to agree on the 613 mitzvot, so to speak, right, and whatever their equivalency is in American society and jurisprudence, we may struggle. So we may need to go to a more condensed version. And if we struggle there, we may have to go even further down. And if we struggle there, we may have to go even further down to that. We may be at a point in our history in which we are literally at the core, most basic principles. And we need to then take that and build back up from there. In other words, do what we have seen in this reading, do what our ancestors have done. If we can't agree on the 613, if we can't even agree on 3, if we can't even agree on 1, but we can understand and agree upon one principle of the 1, then that's where we start. That's where we start. We reopen our conversations with each other. We connect to each other. We reach out to other people. We start from the basic idea that we don't want people to do to us things that we wouldn't want to do, and vice versa. We start from there and we begin to work our way back up. We may not get to the 613, right? We may not get to a point in which all of us are unified under the same exact ideas and principles. I'm not even sure we would want to get there. But as a basic idea, I do believe that unity in this country, if we define it as unifying, as bringing ourselves together about core principles, I believe that is an achievable goal. But it won't happen by accident. It will happen because we have to really work at it. So perhaps if we give ourselves a little bit of space to simply say we're going to start from the most basic and work our way up, that is where we can build. That is where we can create a different future than our present reality, and certainly the past reality of which we have suffered so much recently. So let us go from here. Let us be optimistic, and let us not forget that all of these changes start with conversations. Start with sometimes small conversations, small acknowledgments. Okay, the unity is possible, but sometimes we have to start very simply and simply go with the basic idea. Let us treat each other as the way we would like to be treated, and maybe go from there, from strength to strength. With that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and I'll welcome the cantor back to the virtual bima here as we turn to page 586 at the bottom of the page. Aleinu l'shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, latet kedula liotzer breshit. שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Now think of those who have departed and we are missing dearly in our community, and those that we are remembering on the yahrzeit on the anniversary of their passing in years past. We'll begin by thinking of those who passed in recent months: Miles Ambrose, Fred Eber, Nancy Fisher, Saul Fisher, Edwin Friedman, Sandra Friedman, Lucy Gladstone, Lois Herr, Philip Idone, Phyllis Katz, Laura Kurz, Madge Judith Parcher, Steve Popkin, Vera Shaps, Norma Small, Marjorie Weinberg Berman, Ann Weiss, and Marvin Weiss. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Freddie Bartholomew, Beatrice Barak, George Berger, Stephen Christman, Alice Grossman, Rose Katz Grossman, Mildred Heimwitz, Ruth Hesse, James Hodes, George Katz, Hannah Klein, Herman Klein, Joseph Krennick, Joel Margaretin, Fanny Meyer, Jay Morris, Yetta Goldberg Moskowitz, Diana Oliphant, Millie Peskowitz, Mary Racklin, Louis Rosenthal, Alan Saltzman, Francis Suskind, Sylvia Swerdlick, Andrea Wohl, and Mark Zimmerman. If you're thinking of anyone this evening who we did not mention and you feel comfortable sharing their name in the chat, please do so now. Otherwise, simply hold your loved ones in your hearts as we turn to page 598 to offer the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'agala u'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha berichu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran me'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. If you're still standing, you can be seated. And it's my privilege, as this is now a really wonderful tradition that we've started here at the temple, to be able to have some of our members, and in particular board members, to help us with announcements. So for tonight, I'm very honored to welcome my dear friend, longtime board member, head of our caring program, Gail Gambino, who is going to read the announcements. We're going to give her a second just to make sure everything is good. I think Gail will just unmute you when you're ready, and you're all set.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. The following are this week's announcements. Shabbat morning service will be live streamed tomorrow at 10 a.m. Join us on our website, YouTube channel, or Facebook page. Our versions will be available for viewing shortly after each service ends. Then join us for Torah study at 12 p.m. on Zoom with Rabbi Dan. On Sunday, the Women's Rosh Chodesh group meets at 2 p.m. On Monday, Nida Mitzvah is Monday at 11:30 a.m. For information and joining, email AndreaFagan41@gmail.com for the Zoom link. Hebrew school is at 4 p.m. The Social Justice Committee will meet virtually at 5 p.m. and Musar practice is at 7 p.m. Those are all on Monday. Rabbi Dan's class on Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and the Prophets is on Wednesday at 12 p.m. and the B'nai Mitzvah class meets that day at 4 p.m. Friday, Rabbi Dan's class on Pirkei Avot meets at 9 a.m. Heads up for some upcoming events in February, and please don't feel the need to absorb or memorize any of these. You'll be receiving further repeat announcements about these. This is just a taste of what's coming up in February. It includes a presentation on the lost world of African American cantors in celebration of Black History Month by award-winning author, performer, and producer Henry Sapaznik, on February 3rd, that is. An art workshop with Lorraine Pepper on February 9th, a Zoom author talk with our previous Rebbitzin, Dasi Berkowitz, on her new book on February 14th, the Social Justice Committee's program on expressing social justice through dance on February 15th, and part 2 of their Shared Legacies panel on February 17th, a discussion on coping and resilience during COVID on February 18th, and our Purim celebration on February 25th. Please check out these and all other programs in our weekly e-blasts and on our website calendar. If you're not getting our emails, and this is important, if you're not getting our emails, please let the temple office know. We welcome you to join us after services tonight for a virtual Oneg Shabbat. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Be well and be safe during this time.
Gail, thank you. You did great. That was wonderful. That was just so great. Well, don't think me rude. We'll let you sit back down, so to speak, but really, well done. Thank you so much, Gail. Okay, so we'll put there. We're back. Cantor Lauren, it's great to see you. So I forget, do we have a closing song before Kiddush tonight? Yes. Okay, great. All you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Cantor Lauren, that was beautiful. So for those that have wine, grape juice handy and you'd like to join with me, we're on page 123. And we'll let Cantor Lauren relax a little bit, take back over. Please join with me if you would like. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabahat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit Yehu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, L'chaim to everybody. We're going to turn off the streaming now, so we'll wish everybody watching a Shabbat Shalom. Anybody would like to stick around for a little